Hi there, welcome to another episode of From Tip to Tail. This episode is sponsored by Cuddly. Cuddly is the only dedicated crowdfunding platform built specifically for animal welfare organizations worldwide. My name is Bridget.
And I'm Sydney. Today we're going to be talking to Karina from Trina Friends K9 Rescue, which is an organization dedicated to rescuing and providing care for homeless shelter dogs in need. All right, so let's get started.
Hi, Karina. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. How has quarantine been going for you?
It's been actually, believe it or not, busy with the rescue part, meaning a lot of adopters coming out of the woodwork, a lot of people wanting to foster, etc. So that's been a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, and things are starting to open up now. Are you seeing any, fosters giving you a heads up of returning to work, or are you seeing any other side to it?
No, I have not. Most of them are teachers, so they are not going to be going back till probably September.
Oh, that's interesting.
So a lot of them are teachers, and a lot of them just really honestly work from home to begin with. So they have all the time in the summer. So I have not had anyone. Actually, as a matter of fact, I had 3 more emails today saying that they're looking to foster. So it has not slowed down, thank God, on that part.
That's
amazing. Oh my gosh, that's great. I mean, that's what you hope for, right? Like everyone is just gonna stick around and you're just gonna get bigger and bigger.
That's my hope, because what I really would love to do is to concentrate on rescue full time, which is really where my passion is, and not have to work so much, but it's kind of impossible to do so. So I don't know. I'm just working on figuring out a way how to do that, or how to work a little bit less, maybe 3 days a week, and then do the rescue. Because when you're working 5 days a week and you're working long hours, it's really difficult to do all this. And now that we've skyrocketed in no time. I have everyone helping me, but when people go back to work, then what? You know? And it's hard for me to even keep up as it is now. Imagine, moving forward. So there are things that I really would love to grow on, get my own shelter, if you must say, things like that. I mean, I love rescuing dogs, especially the medical cases.
Yeah.
Well, so what is your other full-time job?
I work for a dentist as a dental assistant.
Oh, wow. That's that's like a real full-time job.
Yeah.
Yes. And we are just basically right now still seeing emergencies, but we're back to work like full-time starting Monday. And then if an emergency patient comes in, we'll see them. But other than that, we can't really until it's technically allowed.
That's
so the governor says it's time, then we can open up the doors, to normal patients on a daily basis.
And Karina, you're in New York, right?
Yes.
Are other businesses, is everything starting to, open up over there? Because I know it was, with the pandemic, I know it was really hitting hard in New York.
They're only allowing phase 1, which was, they started it was literally a week, there'll be a week tomorrow that phase 1 opened up, and that was construction, some stores, but construction's allowed, some certain stores which allowed curbside pickup only. But as far as any restaurants, hair salons, nail salons, you name it, nothing is open. Dental is not open unless it's an emergency. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's stores that are open, like gas stations, things like that are a necessity, but the malls are closed. Everything like that is completely closed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know. It's a different world. And it's like, when is the hair salon going to open?
Oh, I know.
I've heard that so many times.
All I want is to get my nails done, but it's like first world problems though. I'm like, I can't even complain though. At least I'm healthy.
I know.
Very true. How did you get into rescue?
I want to say this started back in, my previous shepherd, his name was Snoop. And I used to take him to the dog park all the time. We would walk the trail. And I had seen on like on a poster looking for volunteers for the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter. So I said, okay, let me call. So I called and I went and I started to volunteer walking dogs. And it was a huge eye opener. I'm like, oh my God, look at all these poor animals here. And, and I was like, I had no idea. It was, like I said, an eye opener.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I lost Snoop in 2011. And I went ahead and I said, the next dog I get, I'm going to rescue. And so I went through the whole process of trying to find a dog. And I ended up finding Trina, who I adopted in March of 2011. She was my everything. I mean, as a matter of fact, today is her 1-year anniversary since she passed.
Wow.
I know. And so from then on, I just started to get on Facebook and see all these dogs that were needing help. And then I just went from little by little, okay, let me try to get this dog and find a home for it. And it just, from then on, it just grew and grew. And then I was with another rescue that I built up. And basically, I was doing everything, even digging into my own pocket for a lot of things. And I just felt like, you know what? They're taking advantage. They're not doing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get my own 501c3. And that's when I said to myself, I want to name the rescue after Trina, because I learned so much with her. Like, she was really abused. She came to me with an embedded collar at 27
Those are
pounds,
the
a German
worst.
Shepherd. I know, at 27 pounds, a German Shepherd. Imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Severe separation anxiety. I went through, I can't even tell you how many crates she busted out of on a daily basis. It didn't matter. She was mine, and that was it. And I said to myself, okay, I need to work on my own 501. And thank God I had great friends that helped me with it. And that's how it started. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then, again, through word of mouth, you would get a referral that someone's looking for a shepherd or et cetera. And it just, like I said, it just kept growing. It's been Trina and Friends K9 Rescue, I think, for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that. I can't even remember. But that's how I started. And it was always more like because I knew how abused she was and what an amazing dog she was. It just wanted me to help more of the ones that people would overlook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, most people want to adopt the cute puppies and the ones that they don't have to put the work into it. Or I like rescuing the dogs that need the most help.
And you primarily rescue German Shepherds, right?
Yes.
Do you find that, because you were saying that you like to rescue a lot of the ones that get overlooked, or, the ones that need the most help or aren't getting that help, would you say that, German Shepherds, in the shelters near you, or I guess maybe across the country, are those the ones that get overlooked a lot, or do you see a lot of them in shelters?
Oh my God, yes. I see them many, many, many in California. Many in California and Texas and Georgia too, but not like California. California is every time I turn, there's always, I don't even know, like, there could be 10 in one shelter. And I want to say in the last year, probably in total, since I've been, helping California dogs, maybe, I want to say maybe we've gotten 50.
Wow.
It could be more, and I'm just not 100% sure, but all of them in amazing homes. All of them come here. They go to a foster home first. They get, the decompression of 2 weeks. Then it's like, okay, this is how he really is. And then we start finding placements, because the way transport works in California is the guy, the person I use doesn't go there for once a month. So we have like a month of, and sometimes, there won't be another foster. So I'll take some home myself. But it's definitely mostly in, I rescue a lot of them from California, Texas, Georgia, seniors, ones with broken legs, fractures. I mean, we just had a puppy which wasn't a shepherd, but he came from Georgia from a shelter. In Georgia, said that the dog was fine. He just had a limp. They took an X-ray, and the dog came here. He was 4 months old, by the way. Came here, taken to my vet. My vet called me. He says, dog has a fractured spine. So I said, okay. So we had surgery, and he's fine. He's doing great. He's just recovering now. It's going to be 6 weeks crate rest until he starts physical therapy. But this is what I like to do. These are the dogs that I like to help. The ones that, even some of them who have aggression issues, behavioral issues, we work with them because we have really good trainers. Now, we can't take as many as we would like to because you cannot put them into just a regular foster home. It has to be somebody that knows what they're doing. And I have just 2 people that are really good at that.
So it sounds like you're pulling from all over the country, and then do you have them all transported to New York then?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So from California, we use Paws in Motion, his name is Gilbert Ramirez. He's amazing, spectacularly clean, you name it. Like, he's just honestly the best that I took from California anyways. And we have others. I mean, I also take dogs from Mississippi, Louisiana, places like the South, Texas. In Texas, you're expected for them to have heartworm, to be heartworm positive. There are a lot of dogs in Texas that I just became involved with. These dogs aren't even coming from the shelter. They're coming from the streets. It's called a place that they call the Valley, which is apparently very horrific for dogs there. I just had one that was pulled off a riverbank with a broken leg. It's just, but the problem is you want to help everyone and you can't. When you're a small rescue, there's only so much funding that you have.
Right. I know it's a constant give and take, right? Like you're just like, okay, if I take in this one dog, what does that mean for the next week or 2 weeks?
Right.
And I definitely can see how frustrating that can be. My gosh.
Well, especially because you're taking on like those a lot of orthopedic cases or a lot of what sounds like medical cases that take a long time to get those pups back on their feet 100%. So it's not like you're taking in a dog and that dog is going to be out in a home,
right.
Feeling absolutely great within, even like the month. It sounds like you have to, when you take in these dogs, it's a more longer commitment.
Definitely. But, it's worth it. I mean, for instance, Sabrina was one that we rescued from California. She came in with they think she was hit by a car, and she went to the Carson shelter, and she was going to be put to sleep because they kept her in isolation, and also there were no rescues willing to pull, and it just so happened I said, okay, can somebody bring this dog to me here? And it just so happened that transport was going to be there. So we just worked it out. And she came from transport right to my vet, spent at least 6 weeks there because they wanted to keep her there to change the bandages, do the splints, to check her. And she has been now adopted for, I want to say, 2 months, and she's doing amazing. And those are the huge rewards that I'm like, this dog here would have been euthanized. And she's now living in New York in an amazing home. It's worth everything.
Oh,
well, so what does your adoption process look like then? I mean, you're investing so much in these animals, and I can imagine like you need a very specialized home if they are going to continue to have like maybe mobility issues or things like that. Like, who do you look for in an adopter? And I guess, like, is there like a special process that you go through to find and select these people for each pet?
Yeah, I mean, mostly if it's a German Shepherd dog, I always, it has to be somebody that has shepherd experience. And when people tell me I've had shepherds, I always say to them, okay, but a rescue German shepherd as opposed to a puppy German shepherd that you've had is completely different. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand that this one is going to be, it's going to have issues. So you're going to have to be aware of this. So we interview everyone, thank God most of the people that we have gotten have been really amazing. And then the ones that have like orthopedic issues, when they go to a foster, it's somebody that's experienced with that, or some, because they mostly stay with my vet until they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at that time, they are pretty much adopted. We had another one that was at the vet, same thing, from California, the same issue. Her name is Sadie. And one of my sponsors went to meet her, and she ended up adopting her. So she left there, and the dog went home, and she's a nurse. But she's had shepherds all her life and rescued ones. So we make it, when people say to me, okay, I've had shepherd experience, I always go with this is rescued dog. We really don't know the full background. So you're going to have to, you have to understand that they will come with baggage. Mm-hmm. So are you willing to work with this? Are you willing to put the time it needs? And we have a printout for every adopter, things to do when you bring a dog home, things not to do. You must have a crate. You must have this. Mm-hmm. You must not have family over for 2 weeks. You have to let the dog completely decompress, get to know you before you start adding family and friends into the picture. Mm-hmm. And like I said, most people, thank God, we have been lucky with. Everyone has to fill an application. Everyone has to have a home visit. And we do background checks, references, everything before they even get the dog. And of course, if there's a problem, we take the dog back. No questions asked.
Right. I mean, I love that you're maybe speaking to them too from a place of experience. I mean, having gone through like a lot of that anxiety and things with Trina, that sounds like, I mean, you're like, yes, I know it's not easy, mm-hmm. But if you hang in there, like she'll come around and it'll be worth it. Did you find that Trina like eventually could overcome her anxiety?
She did. It took a year, but she did. And it wasn't until I adopted my second dog, Nico, that she, became a little more confident. Like mm-hmm. I'm not, I guess, but it took me a year, and it was hard work. But again, if I had to do it over, I would do it over again in a heartbeat. She was the most amazing dog ever. There's nobody that will ever be her. I have 6 dogs and I love them all. Don't get me wrong. But she was my everything. She was special to me. That she was my soulmate, basically. You want to call it that way. And it took me a year. I mean, we went through a lot with the separation anxiety, crate after crate. And, I would come home, she would be salivating from the anxiety, medication, everything. It would just it wasn't working. And it wasn't until I adopted Nico, that she started to get much better. And I had her since 2011 until 2019.
Oh, wow.
A good life.
How old was she when you adopted her then?
She was probably about 3, we think. And the last 2 years of her life, she became paralyzed. She got diagnosed with degenerative myelopathy. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Basically ALS.
Is it common in German Shepherds?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It can be. And I'm actually going through it right now again with Nico. It's like, are you kidding me? You couldn't give me a break.
Oh, wow.
But it was wonderful. I mean, the last 2 years when she started to become paralyzed, we all moved downstairs and we all slept downstairs. I bought a futon like mattress, and her and I slept on the floor. We went for therapy. Mm-hmm. She went swimming. We went to Eddie's Wheels in Massachusetts. We got her wheels. she was expressing her bladder, doing everything. And again, if I had to do it over again, I would do it all over again.
Oh, I know. Well, it sounds like that when you take in a dog, you're really, really trying not to set that dog up for failure when you're putting them in a home. You're keeping in mind that people should have that experience with that. Would you say it's with this specific breed? You should have the experience with it because of, perhaps all the things that they're predisposed to, maybe like hip issues or anxiety if that runs in the breed or things like that.
Yeah, they need to be aware. A lot of people question me, well, have you checked their hips? Have you done this? And I always say to them, I'm not a breeder. I can't check everyone's hips or do testing for degenerative myelopathy, which 98% of the time it's not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand that if you're going to adopt from this breed, these are the things that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Degenerative myelopathy, hip issues, disc issues, all kinds of things that they can suffer from, unfortunately. And a lot of them, they know because they've had shepherds before.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's one woman I adopted a shepherd to, and she's wonderful. And this was her first dog, her first shepherd. And I went through the whole thing with her. This is a shelter dog. I really don't like to adopt to someone that doesn't have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I myself didn't have that experience once as well.
Mm-hmm.
So she went ahead and she contacted the trainer that we use, and she went through all the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
He advised her what to do, and and he ended up in a wonderful home. But that was somebody that was willing to put the work into it.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're willing to put the work into it, then you are 100% on board with me. If you want it easy, people say, well, I want a dog that's housebroken. I want a dog that's crate trained. I'm just like, well, that's not going to happen. You have to understand that the dog's going to come there with issues, and
mm-hmm.
I cannot guarantee a dog to be housebroken. He could have accidents in your home.
Right.
It's a matter of a routine. So sometimes people don't understand that.
Yeah. And I think that's something we've heard from a few different rescues, which I feel like is so inspiring, is like no one started out and they were like, I went to college for rescue. Like that wasn't never a thing. It's just people who are willing to put in that work. And it's like at the end of the day, like you can make any situation work if you put enough effort into it. And I think Sydney can speak to this and I'm sure she's talked to you about it, but her own like anxiety with her dog. It was something that she bought everything. She tried everything. She worked so hard.
And I even asked Karina, I was like, what do I do?
Well, in a similar situation, it wasn't until she got her next dog that they like bonded out. And it was like, oh, all you needed was a buddy. Like you almost wish they could tell you that. Like,
mm-hmm.
No, I just need someone here.
I know, I'm telling you, it was like, oh, well, look at that. It was funny. I remember one time I had him in the crate because I would have him in the crate. And at that point she was out of the crate because what was the difference? She was breaking out anyways.
Right.
So I would have him in the crate and she would like, just, be like, so finally I was able enough to, let him out of the crate and I would, leave the house, go to work, come back. I remember one time I came home to like the entire living room, a tornado from them playing and ripped up the couch. And I'm like, oh my God. But, it was whatever. It doesn't matter. I just came home and I just went with my mouth open and I just literally started laughing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. At least they're...
Right. At that point, you can't even get angry. You just got to laugh about it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's like at least it was a happy tornado instead of like an anxiety tornado.
Right. Exactly.
Like, Mom, but we had fun.
Oh God.
Oh geez.
Too funny.
It's so a lot of these German Shepherds, it sounds like maybe they have a predisposition for a lot of joint issues and things like that. Is there any recommendations that you would have for people bringing up a dog to maybe help ease them through any discomfort or to avoid as much as possible any issues with that?
But, I always tell them, even if they're young, I would I'd start them with like glucosamine, not as a puppy, but you know what I mean, like starting from the 2 and up. Exercise the dog, make sure you don't make sure the dog doesn't get overweight. Swimming if you can. Take the dog swimming. Lots of swimming is great for them. They just, it's hard to say, but I mean, it's with degenerative myelopathy is there isn't any really cure or anything you can do. They just decline. The only thing I can recommend is if there's somebody that if God forbid that should happen, you need to get the dog to therapy, give them the best they can, give them the wheel so they have some kind of freedom. Take them to therapy. I mean, it's important. The therapy is important when it just gives them that, like that freedom. And I have somebody that she didn't adopt from me, but she's someone who donates, and her dog was diagnosed with degenerative myelopathy. So she came to me, she asked me, what do I do? Told her what to do. I told her to get the horse wraps to put on their back legs so that when they're dragging, they're not, hurting themselves. I use that help them up harness, which is great for picking the dog up from the front and the back. Sardines are something that we also recommend, like with somebody that has degenerative myelopathy, and there are these different vitamins that are prescription. Like it's just so much, but I'm always there to help someone if they need the help.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And oh my gosh, I mean, I can just imagine like picking a dog up with those harnesses. Like you must have amazing guns. Like that's like that's quite a workout.
with Nico, he's very stubborn and he wants to go up those stairs. So I find myself I have to grab. He still has the front strength, so his back legs are gone. The front still works, so he goes walking up the front, and I'm grabbing from the back, and we go walking up and down those stairs daily. So I'm like, that's my exercise for the day.
For sure. That's more exercise than I typically get. So that's,
oh my God.
So with all this talk about how you take in a lot of medical cases, a lot of treatment that needs to be done, a lot of the preventative care that you do, like the joint supplements and the therapy and things like that. I guess what I want to ask is a lot of people, I guess, maybe don't know, I guess, the cost and time that it takes to care for these dogs, especially a large one with, that's perhaps predisposed to issues like hip dysplasia and all that, things like a German Shepherd. So what would you say, like on average, how long does it, maybe take for a dog to come into your care and come out of your care, and how much does that usually cost for you?
Oh gosh, I guess it depends. I mean, if you're talking about a dog that's needing ortho surgery, it could be $4,000. Wow. And then you have to think then after $4,000 just for the surgery, let's just say. And then after that, you have the physical therapy, which is usually recommended twice a week. And sometimes it depends on where you go. We use Wagon in the Water in Carmel, New York. And she charges rescues $45 for the session. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours. But, you start multiplying that twice a week, 3 times a week, for however long they need it for. Luigi's going to need physical therapy. I don't know. It's not for 6 weeks, but is it going to be twice a week or 3 times a week? We don't know. You remember Sid? You remember Loki, correct?
I do remember Loki. He was the one we did the fundraiser for that had, I want to say that he had the fractured spine, or he had.
Yeah, and he was paralyzed, and he had the surgery, and now he can walk. But it wasn't just the surgery. It wasn't just the surgery. He also needed months of therapy.
Right. I was going to say he did months of like the hydrotherapy that you do, and
yeah,
you remember that it took a very long time.
A very long time, and he's never going to be straight. He will always have that hump, and he walks a little bit like kind of sideways, but he can walk. he wasn't able to walk before that surgery.
I remember that video that you showed on his like transformation of when he was walking, and everyone was like so giddy and just so happy that he was finally up on his legs, even though he was like a little wobbly.
Right. And right. So it's like, wow, that's what's rewarding. That's what I like. It's like, oh my God, people will say, well, you're crazy taking a dog that's paralyzed. You'll never know if it's going to walk. Or you never know. And with Luigi, same thing. Now he was able to walk, and that surgery could have paralyzed him. But if we left him the way he was, then what? Then any wrong move, and then he would have been permanently paralyzed. So you have to do this. You have to do it. And, I mean, look, I even had some people tell me, are you sure you want to spend $7,000 for that surgery? He's just a puppy. Wouldn't it be easier to euthanize the dog? I'm like, absolutely not. That's not called rescue.
Yeah.
Right.
And for those that don't know, Luigi is the dog she just rescued that was found with the fractured spine.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that in our post that we do. I love that because yes, you're putting in so much hard work. Yes, it's costing money, but at the end of it, it's like you're making a miracle happen, like truly. Because it's like, you probably just had so many people telling you like, well, it is what it is, and it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
But you were like head against the brick wall, like, no, of course it's not going to get any better if we just sit here. Mm-hmm. But if we try, then at least there's a chance.
Right. Like give us the chance. I just can't. Oh God, knock on wood, I haven't ever. The only one time I've had to have a dog put down was because he was in kidney failure, and we did do the blood transfusion. We did ask for this to be done, and we tried. And the vet said to me, "Okay, enough. Like, I'm telling you right now, he's not going to get better. Yeah. He's in kidney failure. He's suffering. The humane thing to do is put him down." And okay, so yeah, but we don't take the easy road out. That's for sure. If you're gonna rescue, you have to put 150%, and you have to at least say that you tried. Everybody can just take a dog and say, oh yeah, sure. Well, then let's just, if it's gonna cost $10,000, I can't do that. Let's just euthanize. Well, why don't you try to figure out a way to fundraise instead of just taking the easy way out?
I always think that too, because I feel like a lot of the people who always say like, that dog doesn't have quality of life, or you should put that dog down, they don't realize that you're the ones that are making that decision. You're the one that has to live with that, I put that dog down and I did it for the right reason. So it would make sense that you would do everything possible to avoid that, because you're the one that ultimately has to, sign that paper and make that decision in the end.
Yes. I mean, we had someone with Loki that said to me, I can't believe what you should be putting the dog down. I wish that person would see how he is now.
Yeah.
Now you have those badges on your vest, like saying like, no, this is how hard I worked. I'm transforming all these lives. I mean, that's amazing. So how many people are in your, I'm sure now it's ever growing, so many more fosters and different things, but how many people are in your organization at this point?
As far as my really, really go-to fosters that I rely on 100%, the ones that I said that will take like up to 3 dogs into their home. There's 3 of them. There's Samantha, there's Debbie and Colleen. Debbie and Colleen are amazing. They take in the hard cases, like a dog with like guarding issues or dog aggressive, things like that. They'll take a dog like that. I have Jamie, who's also wonderful, who will, she's just there. Her and her family so loving that, oh my God, Jamie, I don't have an extra foster. Can you hold on to this dog for a couple of weeks? No problem. And they'll have like 3-4 dogs in their home, and it's never an issue. As far as on the board, we have, I think there's Lisa, Christian, Erica. I mean, there's at least 6 people now, I think. And we were just talking that we have to have a meeting on Sunday because we're getting so big that sometimes emails are getting lost for someone looking for a dog. And so we have to have a better way of organizing things. better way of, okay, if this one's checking the application, they need to let that person know that that application was checked. I have now someone just running the rescue page because I can't do it. It's too much for one person.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say maybe a good 7 to 10 people that help out. And all of them amazing people. I mean, Christian, who does a lot of the applications now. She does a lot of recruiting, fosters, interviews, everything. She is a 2-time adopter. She adopted 2 dogs from me. And it's funny how she's now become part of Trina and Friends.
So that usually happens, though. I feel like people who invest themselves in a rescue, they foster, they adopt, and then they end up working for that rescue just because they love it so much.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and it all happened during this whole pandemic. She's like, oh, give me this application. Give me that application. Okay. And then then she has spreadsheet, and this one is looking for this kind of dog, and they have 2 kids and 3 kids, or a dog and a cat, whatever. And it's like, okay, so it's now, I swear, we're like matchmakers. No, that dog's not going to work for that home. Okay, this dog I would definitely trust with this home because they have young children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won't adopt a German Shepherd coming from a shelter to anyone that has young children. That is my big no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how a dog will be, and that always scares me. Mm-hmm. The only time I will adopt a dog to family with young kids is if they are puppies. Mm-hmm. If they are like 6-month-old German Shepherd or puppies for that matter. But as far as any 2-year-olds that come from the shelters, 1-year-olds, even 1-year-olds, it really just scares me with little kids. So it's just a big no for me. It's a big no. It's
a big dog.
God forbid, that always scares me. So I'm always in the back of my head, I'm like, no, it's not worth it. If they want, then come, for a puppy. And, it's like everybody's been wanting puppies now. So we've helped at a few puppies. And
it's not setting that dog up for failure, not putting it at home where, that dog is at risk of.
Absolutely. I know that was what I was thinking too. It's not even, and of course you don't want that child to be injured, but that's also a bit of a sentence for that dog. One bite is forever, like this blemish. And it's like, it was one moment in this dog's entire life, but oftentimes it can just stick with them and put them in a position where it's like that much harder to find an adopter, that much harder to find them a better life. So no, that's very smart.
Oh, yeah. Even some adult people, you tell them not to do certain things in 2 weeks and they do it. And then if the dog bites or if it's a nip, it's sad for that poor dog,
Right.
But it rarely happens because we are, like I said, very, very strict. I have someone right now that's applying for, we also helped a shelter in Georgia, and they had, I think it was 16 case dogs, which were from a cruelty case, all of them pit mixers. And I said to them, not a problem, we'll take them. 4 of them are with Colleen, who's fostering them. 2 others, I think, were adopted. And then we have this one that's like a blue-nosed pit. And he is absolutely gorgeous. And of course, everyone wants them. And you have to be very careful because you just don't know what people want them for.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a list of applicants and we're like, nah, who wants to interview this person really, really well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I said, we also help Sean, who is the manager at the Marietta County Shelter in Georgia, and he's amazing. And, and then there's Chris, who's from the LaGrange Shelter in Georgia, who we've been helping too with dogs. And it's so, yes, we are mainly a German Shepherd rescue, but we do help others when needed. And we don't turn a dog away. Doesn't matter of the breed.
Too, it sounds like you're relatively, I guess Trina and Friends is a relatively small rescue in itself, but it sounds like that you partner with a lot of shelters and a lot of, I guess, rescues all across the country to help, whatever dog's in need.
Yes. I work with Spari. She's in California. I work with Angel Spark. She's also in California. We work together.
Mm-hmm.
I work with Rescue Right in Bedford. We all in Georgia. There's Laker's Paws. She's my Georgia partner. But what I'm saying is, we all have our own rescues, but we help each other.
Yeah.
So if that person is looking for a specific dog, if they don't have it, they'll come to me, or I'll go to them. I have this person looking for this dog. Do you have a dog that matches that? And yeah, so it just works that way. And also, but we help. I don't know if you've ever heard of No Dogs Left Behind in China. Well, they're based in New York, but he saves a lot of slaughter dogs, a lot of dogs from the meat market. We also help him. Taking dogs from, from, I forget the name of the rescue, but it's in Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken a few dogs from them too and placed them into homes. Taken dogs from Egypt.
I love that.
Turkey.
Not just one rescue.
Yeah, I mean,
it's everybody playing their part and just trying to better, animal lives.
Yes. I mean, I have an Egyptian dog. I rescued her. She flew from Egypt with a injured, like she was hit by, run over by a car.
Mm-hmm.
And the same surgeon, Dr. Berg, that did Loki, did Luigi, did Octavia. I've had her now for 4 years, and she walks and runs. And this is a street dog in Egypt, and she's very feral. She will not accept other people except me. You can't even put a leash on her, but she's great with me. So we help dogs from everywhere.
Yeah, that's great.
I believe that every dog deserves a chance, whether it's in the United States or any other country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely. And I love that. Absolutely. Like no discrimination between any borders, but then also what you were saying about how you admire so many of like these like shelter like directors and things like that, because I think there is a bit of that divide of like,
mm-hmm.
well, like we're rescue and they're shelter. And I mean, I think so many shelters are put in like a unwinnable situation where like they can't offer as much medical care, as much specialized care as maybe that they want to be able to. And so because of that,
right.
So many people have this negative idea of like, well, that shelter, that's where they killed those dogs. And it's like, they don't want to be doing that. And like, yes, all these rescues are electing who gets to come out. But the fact that there are so many great people that work at these shelters who are trying to make a difference and who are trying to like renovate the system from inside. It's so great.
Yes, like I said, Sean, he texted me yesterday. We took, it was, I don't remember, there was, I think, a total of 16 case dogs, and we took all of them. We have all the other ones that came 2 weeks ago, all pretty much placed. There's 6 more that are coming tomorrow, and they already have like fosters waiting. And I told Sean, I said, okay, Sean, so I really, have that big pitbull clients, not clientele, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I said, I do know Sherry from this rescue and this one from Wise Rescue and Pit Stop in Pennsylvania. And they're all ones that I completely trust. So I reached out to them and I said, I have these dogs coming. And so Sherry's coming tomorrow to meet the dogs, and she's probably going to take a few. But that's, that's what I mean. It's a circle. We all work together. It just doesn't mean that just because they're coming to me,
right, that
I can't give to someone else, work together and saying, okay, great, you found placement for that dog. Perfect. The goal is to get them a home, not about, oh my goodness, we adopted 100 dogs in a year. And, it's a team. It's a team effort, really.
Absolutely. Well, so we have a couple fun questions.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, given that your rescue is named after Trina, I don't know if you want to maybe base them around her or Nico or someone else in your home, but as you see fit.
Okay.
So if your dog was president, what would be the first thing they did?
My dog was president would be the first thing they did. They would, I guess we would have, well, definitely animal laws, strict animal laws as spay and neuter, anyone who abuses a dog gets years in jail, not just a slap on the wrist or community service. Gosh, what else comes to mind? I can't even think of that right now.
I mean, it sounds like a complete overhaul, right? Of how things are done. Okay. What is one trick your dog has taught you?
To be more patient,
Oh, yeah.
to be definitely more patient, because you have to have patience to have these dogs. And certainly if they become medically compromised. So I would say patience, number one. That's the big one for me. What they've taught me: patience, love, caring. I guess that would be it.
It's so great too. It just like bleeds into every other part of your life. Like, like having extra patience, it just helps everything.
Yes.
Okay. And then if you had to pick one life motto, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Let me see. I'm thinking here. If I've had my choice, I would want to. Just to see the good just for people to see the good that we are and we do for these dogs.
I think that really speaks to everything you're doing. I mean, I can't imagine like the things you've seen and experienced and heard, but it sounds like for you to have so much hope in all these situations, and to like be optimistic in all these circumstances. I mean, with Loki, with all these other animals, when everyone else is maybe, I don't know where you find your hope, but I'd love to borrow some if you are offering. It sounds like you maybe have a lot of obstacles that you're facing, and still you're steadfast in everything you're doing. So looking for that good, I mean, that has to be invaluable to you.
It is. And I always say that I am a risk taker, and I am a risk taker because 99% of the time, it really always works out. I just jump in and somehow it works out. And I just take those chances.
It's so great to talk to you. And I mean, I feel like everything you're doing is so super inspiring, from like, even from just like your intimate group of people working with no borders, like taking dogs from across the country, from outside the United States, and taking on those hard situations like as well. I mean, everything you're doing is so super inspiring. So we loved being able to talk to you today.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Same. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have a good
on
rest
Trina's
of your
anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
So dedicated to Trina for
Yes.
sure. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
We loved speaking to Karina today. She's working with so many different animal rescues over the United States, into other countries, shelters, and pulling overlooked dogs all along the way to do such an amazing work. So if you want to find out more about what she's doing and get involved, you can find out more in our show notes or on the blog at cuddly.com.
And also be sure to rate, like, and subscribe this podcast. And be sure to follow Cuddly on all the social media accounts at We Love Cuddly. That's CUDDLY. Thanks, guys. See you next time.